welcome back to More Than PG's Gaming. I'm your host, Mune, and today I want to talk about a highly uh, talked about topic for Genshin Impact. In particular, the recent discussion from our latest live stream pertaining to some of the changes that are occurring in the realm of Genshin Impact's gameplay and mechanics. In particular, I want to talk about how during the live stream they announced that they were giving us all sorts of neat little perks, a free 5-star and constellations by doing certain requirements, and then they were like, oh yeah, and we are also going to be introducing level 100 um, through a system that has both enticed but also upset players at the same time. Okay? Those that will benefit from the system will be those that have implemented money into the game. Okay? So for those unaware of exactly how this works is that you have to get a character. Okay, it does not matter if it's the character you want to level up to level 100 or not. It can be somebody else that you have no intention of doing it so whatsoever. So you could have a level 1 Jean or Chi-Chi or anybody else, but they could have a constellation 6. If you pulled that character again, you will get an item. It is called a Masterless Stella Fortana. And then the way it works is you need one to go from level 90 to 95. And then you need another two to go from level 95 to 100. The trick with this, though, is that you need 3 for a single character. This only works with 5-star characters specifically to obtain them. So you need to max out a constellation for a 5-star and then get 3 additional constellations for them to be able to raise up one of your characters. Now, what does this mean in the grand scheme of things? This means that those that have played for an extensive amount of time and have been unlucky enough, or fortunate, whichever way you look at it, to get constellations beyond their C6 of a 5-star will be benefited from this. They have said that they are retroactively applying it because they kept track of everybody's wishes. Okay, great. That sounds amazing, except for me as an individual who is a free-to-play. Or those that have not played for a good amount of time, may not even have a single 5-star character at a C6, which I do not. Not even with all my chances of losing 50-50, I have not gotten anywhere close. Okay, I think my closest one is like a C4, and that's Chi-Chi. She was also my first 5-star, so go figure. Now, would I mind getting a C6 Chi-Chi? No, I don't mind at all. I actually use Chi-Chi, so does not bother me in the slightest bit. Now, do I like this entire process? Not particularly, because there's a few consequences of this entire situation. And a lot of people are saying, hey, it's going to make my team stronger. That's the important part. Yes and no. Okay? Because of the limited availability, you're not going to be readily just throwing it on everybody. It's kind of like how the crowns were when you first started playing. They were only from certain events, typically, and so you wouldn't be able to get the Crowns of Insight to level up characters all the way up to 10 on their talents. Um, So you're gonna have to pick and choose. Second thing about it is that the units that you choose generally have to be, uh, if they are causing reactions, they have to be the character that causes that reaction. That means you're going to need characters like Inefa, Kuki, Raiden if you're going to enable something like Hyper Bloom, uh, or if you're going to use another character to implement things like Melt or Reverse Melt Vape or Reverse Mape. You get the idea really quickly. So, and the amount of increase with it is roughly about 40%. And that's a big deal. That's the increase from 90 to 95. So that is part of the problem, and there has been some discussion about how it's going to make the game easier. And other people are saying, no, no, no. This is going to be basically power creeping for what is the new expected delivery of difficulty, uh, which could also be the case. So you'll have units that will definitely benefit from this, but if the content gets harder, then people who aren't pulling as often are going to get penalized and not be able to do as much, which is unfortunate. So kind of have to take a look at it both ways there. Uh, but this also benefits people who have lost 50-50 quite a bit. So that's probably the biggest sticking point I like to point out. It benefits people who just have really poor luck or pull, two of the 5 stars. Let's say you're pulling for like a Nefa and you got her to C5 and then you do like a 10 pull and you get two of her. Man, that sucks. Oh no, that really sucks. Well, no, now you get this benefit of now you have an item that can raise a character from like 90 to 95. So, benefit there. Uh, the other unintended consequence of this is, well, the weapon banner. Oh boy. So now that there's a system to go and get your character to the level 90 to 100 by pulling character constellations, the weapon banner gets really screwed over. Nobody's going to pull on it anymore because you can't pull 5-star characters from the weapon banner. Yes, the weapons can make your character stronger, but they don't make your character 40% stronger. They give you a little bit of extra compared to uh, the regular standard uh, 5-star weapons or from just 4-star weapons. They are a bit better. Okay? Now, am I saying that everybody's been screwed over and the weapon banner is never going to be pulled on? No. But the weapon banner sales are going to drop. Probably significantly. Okay? Because, yeah, everybody wants to get their characters built. And it's taking one banner pull and you're putting it into everybody's going to want to pull this other banner pull. So, weapon banner, rest in peace for the time being until something changes or it's eliminated in some way. Because I don't think it's going to survive. The weapon banner just is too terrible compared to the character banner. And I kind of foresee them changing it up eventually, but not initially. We'll see what happens. They might decide to change how they're going to do the level 100 thing after widespread testing for this next version, which is called Luna 1 instead of 6.0. Don't know why they did it that way, but maybe they just wanted to differentiate it because it's not a new region for the 7 Archons, and that's why they did it. It might also be a numbering scheme thing where I have actually seen this happen, where a company will say, hey, we can't keep doing this because if we start numbering things, uh, the player bases, like new players, will avoid playing it because they feel too far behind. I've seen it happen in games. I've seen it happen in even tabletop games. It's absolutely hilarious. In particular, anybody familiar with the Magic the Gathering or the Final Fantasy trading card game, they just stopped numbering things officially on their titling because it used to be, you know, Magic used to have a core set and it would be like 8th edition, 9th edition, so forth. And eventually, once they got up to 10th edition, they were like, oh, we better stop naming them this. So they started naming them after years. And then eventually they got rid of those because they just weren't selling very well. So, and then the Final Fantasy trading card game did kind of the same thing, where like they named stuff Opus, but eventually once they got up, I think it was like Opus like 14. Once they got to the 15th set, they were just like, oh, we gotta quit doing this because people feel too far behind. So this might be a strategy on naming here, why they did that. That, or they just don't want it to be mistook as that, as part of the traditional sense of the word. But one big thing I want to point out here is about the player base. Okay, when it comes down to difficulty, as you can kind of see here, I'm fighting on menacing difficulty in Stygian Onslaught, and I'm struggling as a free-to-play. I've been dealing with all sorts of issues of trying to clear this stuff with whatever I have at my disposal, and luckily for me, I have an EFA for this fight, and that's the only reason why I can even get anywhere near clearing this. See, as I just cleared it, but the Popula, I don't have Chaska, so that does cause a lot of issues. But when we get the next version, and if I get any level 100 characters, oh hey, this might be a lot easier. I might be able to finally clear it. And when I do, I'm going to be so ecstatic, because usually I'm just like, hey, I'm missing it by just, 5-10%. If I have a 40% increase in my output of damage, then I'll be fine. But I got to be able to make that happen. Now, will the difficulty of this mode go up? Who knows? I'm not too ecstatic about it. Try to think about that fearful, will difficulty go up? But if I'm always afraid of what's going to happen coming up, I'm never going to make any progress. Okay, and I've been told over and over, well, Stygian Onslaught, Imaginarium Theater, the Spiral Abyss, those are all whale modes. You don't need to worry about whale modes as a free to play. But that's the thing, like, why not? Why can't I care? Because I should. So, but I think that the entire system for the level 100 is gonna be a good thing and a bad thing, because it's gonna definitely support the game long term, and it is going to drive sales so that the game can keep going. And I think that was one of the major problems that the company was probably running into, was with each passing version, the player base does drop off and they become a little bit less prevalent. And they probably want to make sure that they can be still relevant to their existing player base, and they want to finish this narrative. Okay, now, do we know when the narrative will end? No, we don't. We think that the narrative may end once we get to Shesnaya, okay? Or a little bit thereafter. And I know that there's even been discussions of, oh no, they're not actually going to keep the narrative going with the current Genshin. They're probably going to run this out, get through Shesnaya, and then say, hey, we're announcing Genshin Impact 2. We don't know. We don't know what they're going to do quite yet. we're talking years in the future. We have a year for Nod Cry. We're probably going to end up with uh, maybe, I'm going to say maybe another region before we get to Shesnaya, but I doubt it. We'll probably get Shesnaya next year. But then we'll have to deal with everything else in between then and now. Okay? And then who knows, we might have some other stuff. We might have Celestia, a return to Conria. We might have something else. I don't know. We've already been to the Abyss and back, so it's hard to say how we're going to deal with that kind of interaction. So I'm hoping for good things moving forward, and maybe if you have any speculative way that this entire method that we've gotten for, level 90, if you have any suggestions on how it could have been better, maybe post it in the comments, or hey, maybe you have a great idea of how they could make weapons still relevant or improve the weapon banner in any way or form. I'd love to hear that, because I fear that the weapon banner is just on its way out. So suggestions would be great, because everyone's entitled to their own opinion on that. And I'm also kind of curious, are you going to be able to level up any of your characters from level 90 to 95 or 100? And if so, what character are you planning on doing this with first? Because I'd love to hear it, And hopefully you enjoyed me getting my butt kicked by the Popula. Not a fun enemy to fight, and hope to hear from everybody next time. Thank you for watching.